and welcome back to Football Made Simple. We're back with the tactical analysis as Master took on Apprentice when Ctiy took on Arteta's Arsenal at the Etihad. After bettering Pep last season, Arteta was looking to repeat the trick, and in the end, the match ended 1-0 to City thanks to a goal by Sterling. The XG indicated it was a deserved win for City, 1.4 to 0.8. The XG time map suggested that City dominated the chance creation almost from the start. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. A special shout out to everyone who's been able to support Football Made Simple on Patreon so far. If you want to help the channel, I'd love it if you considered supporting on patreon.com/footballmadesimple and you'll get perks like early access to videos, exclusive content, and so much more. A quick reminder of the formations used by both sides, as seen on the OneFootball app. OneFootball will get you match updates, formation updates, as well as player and team stats, and so much more. And the best part is, you can get it absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below. Let's start with Pep's interesting tactics, as City had the majority of the play. When Ederson had the ball from goal kicks, initially, Arsenal would push men high up ready to press. However, in this game, Ederson was more willing to go long than usual, with more than half of his passes being long balls. Interestingly, City seemed to target Tierney in the air, with Mahrez, a player not known for his skill in the air, winning 3 aerials compared to Tierney's 1. But in open play, City's formation was extremely fluid, adapting to different scenarios in the game. They would move into a back 3 for the most part, with Walker and Ake splitting to the extremities of the pitch, as seen in the average positions. From their position in the mid-block, the Arsenal front 3 would at times look to press higher up, and to counter this, City would shift into a 4, usually with Rodri dropping into the centre-back role, although at times Bernardo was comfortable dropping alongside Diaz, whilst Rodri pushed higher up to become the pivot. Crucially, initially, the Arsenal pivots looked to push high up onto their men, so this would often draw either Xhaka or Ceballos out of position. And early in the match, both Sterling and Aguero often functioned as false nines, with one looking to drop into the midfield, whilst the other pushed higher up. From right wing back, Cancelo would then often look to push infield to increase the midfield numbers between the lines. As a result, City were often able to play the penetrative pass to Sterling dropping between the lines, or a chip ball, and he would then look to turn and play in his fellow forwards. So in the second half, Arteta looked to adapt by getting Ceballos and Xhaka to drop off and focus less on pressing their opposite numbers and instead on protecting zone 14. Of course, this would mean that the City men from deep had more time on the ball to make decisions. And generally, City looked to attack down the left-hand side, with Ake providing the higher passing option. And with the Arsenal pivot sitting deeper, Sterling tended to move deeper on the pitch to pick up the ball in this space. This tended to draw Arsenal across the pitch, and crucially, Cancelo moving infield would often draw Saka away from his left wing-back position, as he tried to prevent the midfield overload. As a result, when City managed to work the ball through the midfield, Mahrez often found himself isolated 1 versus 1 against Tierney, and often looked to take him on for the shot, or cut inside for the pass. We see some elements of this in the City goal. The entire Arsenal midfield has been drawn high, and Saka is also high looking to close down Cancelo. So when the pass comes into Mahrez, he's 1v1 against Tierney, meaning that the Arsenal backline is less compact. Mahrez cuts inside and we see Aguero in the false 9 position, while Sterling looks to push the defense deeper. Pepe, who had been pressing high, has also left Foden 1 versus 1, and when he receives the ball, his shot is saved and comes back to Sterling, who finishes. But generally, once Arsenal pushed their midfield deeper, they were able to stay compact and limit City's opportunity. And when under less pressure, Rodri would often push back into the midfield, and when there was a turnover, this meant that City were vulnerable, as with so many men high, who looked to counter-press when they lost the ball. On the occasions where this press was broken, Arsenal would then overwhelm the sole defensive midfielder. But how about Arsenal in possession? What did they look to do? Arsenal has always looked to build up short in their trademark shape. Luiz and Gabriel would split the width of the box, with Bellerin providing the width to the right and Tierney wide left. By playing it short initially to the centre-back, they would look to draw in Foden on the narrow press. With Ake not playing as a traditional left-back, he couldn't push high up to close down Bellerin, as he was occupied with Pepe instead. So, instead, at times, a midfielder would look to come across on the cover, but this would subsequently open up more space central for Arsenal to play into. In fact, when pressing high, City's shape could at times look like a 4-2-4, with Sterling and Aguero pressing centrally whilst Mahrez and Foden pushed higher. They could afford to do so as Arsenal played with a double pivot, and their wingers generally didn't come central to create the overload. But still, Arsenal could get out on the left-hand side, as Mahrez was often drawn into the central press, and the chip ball over him to Tierney was often the outlet. On occasions, Saka did move into the central regions to help the pivots, but Cancelo stayed touch-tight moving higher up the pitch, whilst the rest of the defence shifted to create a back three to compensate. Tierney would then look to play the ball up the line, although oftentimes this could be intercepted, and this did lead to a City chance. Higher up the pitch, City still adopted a similar defensive shape, and because Rodri and Bernardo backed up the press, it often limited their passing options. So, often, Arsenal's pivots dropped deeper to get on the ball ahead of the press, but this of course reduced Arsenal's attacking threat going forwards. City's defensive shape was also fluid, however, and when under pressure, they could also drop into a 4-4-2 instead, with Mahrez and Foden deeper. If the pressure was sustained, they shifted to a back five shape, with Cancelo at right wing back and Walker dropping to right centre back instead. It should be noted, at times Walker and Cancelo failed to coordinate their movements, and as a result, an Arsenal man was able to get into these half spaces. But overall, it was a closely contested match, where Pep did his usual tactical experimentation, and this time he was able to come out on top. But what did you make of this match overall? As always, not every tactic could be covered, so I'd love to know what you made of the match down in the comments below. And a huge shout out to Adam Lace, John Diggle, DXXX, Bruce, Mark Dammer, Yanoku, and Abdullah Abdul Karim for recently joining the Ultra tier on my Patreon. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.